Good evening, everyone. The meeting is called to order. The time is 7 p.m. on January 4th. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the business administrator, board secretary, has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, I suppose. Doesn't say it on here. It says flag salute.
Should be a flag salute now, right?
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
to the
to the
republic
republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty, and justice for all.
Meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the school district. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question during the public portion of the meeting, you may submit the question by accessing the Q&A feature on the bottom of the Zoom screen, or you may submit a question via our Board of Education email address at hawthorneboe@hawthorne.k12.nj.us. When submitting questions via Zoom or email, please be sure to include your first and last name, address, and email address followed by your question. We will do our best to answer all questions in the order in which they are received. If for some reason we are unable to answer your question, someone from the district will respond using the email address you've provided. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of the other individuals when speaking. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment on or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. Roll call of the outgoing Board of Education, please.
Mr. Carr?
Here.
Ms. Goff?
Here.
Ms. Ehrentraut?
Here, sorry.
Dr. Morrell? She have to unmute herself? Dr. Morrell?
Looks like we may have lost Dr. Morrell.
Okay. Mr. Palouse?
Here.
Mr. Reicher?
Here.
Mr. Totaro? Mr. Turco?
Here.
Mr. Clavijo?
Here.
This time I'll read the certified results from the annual school board election from November 2021. Abigail Goff, 2,538. Jay Shortway, 2,293. Jennifer Ehrentraut, 2,472. If I could invite Ms. Goff, Mr. Shortway, and Ms. Ehrentraut to please take the oath of office now. You can raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
Abigail Goff,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that
that
I
I
will
will
support
support
the
the
Constitution of the United States
States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the government established in the United States
and to the government established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people, so help me God.
under the authority of
So help me God.
I state your name,
I, Jennifer Trout,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by
signed by
law
for the office of a member of a Board of Education,
for the office
Of a
of a
member
member
of a
Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully and
Partially and justly
perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of
office
according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
best of my ability. So help me.
ability. Help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take a roll call of the incoming board. Mr. Carr,
Here.
Ms. Goff,
here.
Ms. Ehrentraut,
Here,
Dr. Morell. Still not having-
Dr. Morel she'll be coming back in a moment. She was just having a problem with her computer.
Okay. Mr. Palouse,
Here.
Mr. Raisher,
Here.
Mr. Shortway,
Here.
Mr. Turco,
Here.
Mr. Clavijo.
Here.
At this time, the floor is open for nominations for Board of President, the President of the Board.
I have a nomination. I would like to nominate Abby Goff.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll take a voice roll call. For Ms. Goff as President of the Board. Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Ms. Ehrentraut,
yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
is Dr. Morell back yet?
Yes, I'm here, and yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Raisher,
Yes.
Mr. Shortway,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo.
Yes.
Okay, so I will turn the meeting over to Ms. Goff.
To everybody, I'm humbled to be your leader and I'm looking forward to a great year. For the election of vice president, are there any nominations for vice president?
I have a nomination. I'd like to nominate Alex Clavijo.
Are there any other nominations? Roll call for the nomination of Mr. Clavijo as vice president of the board.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Ms. Ehrentraut,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Dr. Morell,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Raisher,
Yes.
Mr. Shortway,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Ms. Goff.
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Clavijo.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Moving on, public be heard, agenda items only. Mr. Sprito, do we have anything?
We do not have any emails or any questions in the Q&A right now.
Should we give it another minute? Still nothing in the Q&A.
And no emails.
Adoption of the Code of Ethics. Ms. Ambrose, should I read the whole? Probably should read the whole thing.
Yeah, you may.
Okay. Adoption of the Code of Ethics. Be it resolved that the Hawthorne Board of Education adopt the Code of Ethics for school board members as per NJSA 18:12-24.1 for the period of January 4th, 2022 through January 3rd, 2023. A school board member shall abide by the following Code of Ethics for board members. A, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. B, I will make decisions in terms of educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. C, I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that all are well run. E, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. F, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends. G, I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its board, for its school. H, I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer. I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. And J, I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. The following professional appointments are being recommended for 2022. R2, the dates and times of board meetings. R3, adoption of bylaws and policy manuals. Do I need to read any of these in their entirety? No, okay. R4, designation of official newspapers. R5, bank depositories. R6 seems like another bank depository. R7, attorney. R8, award of contractor auditor services. R9, appointment of architect. R10, alternative board secretary. R11, reappointment of representative to the Northeast Bergen County School and Board Insurance Group. R12, award of contract for risk manager. R13, appointment of qualified purchasing agent. R14, appointment of public agency compliance officer. R15, reappointment of representative assembly board of directors for Northern Region Educational Service Commission. R16, adoption of petty cash fund. R17, appointment of benefit agent. R18, appointment of school medical examiner. R19, fees for copies of public documents. R20, approval of 5-year maintenance plan. R21, approval of electronic handbooks. R22, readoption of the curriculum. R23, appointment of policy service provider. R24, appointment of continuing disclosure agent. R25, appointment of fixed asset appraisal firm. R26, appointment of environmental consulting firm. R27, appointment of affirmative action officer. R28, appointment of the following: asbestos management officer coordinator, safety and health designee, indoor air quality designee, integrated pest management coordinator, right to know officer, chemical hygiene officer, AHERA coordinator. R29, appointment of 504 committee coordinator. R30, appointment of ADA officer. R31, appointment of attendance officer. R32, appointment of New Jersey Division of Child Protection and Permanency, otherwise known as the CP&P liaison. R33, appointment of homeless liaison. R34, approval of liaison for missing and abused children. R35, approval of Title 4 officer. R36, approval of tax shelter annuities. R37, approval of contracts and joint services. R38, approval of contracts and joint services. R39, approval and contracts and joint services. R40, approval of purchasing cooperatives. R41, approval of observation and evaluation tools. Looking for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clavijo. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout,
yes,
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Dr. Morel,
yes,
Mr. Palouse,
yes,
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Mr. Shortway,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
and Ms. Goff.
Yes. Public be heard? Anything else, Mr. Sprito? There's nothing in the Q&A.
There are no emails right now, no.
There is one new question in the Q&A, Mr. Sprito.
So the question is, it's a question from regarding the plans on Hawthorne establishing a COVID dashboard. That is not something that the district has implemented to this point. It is not something that we're planning to implement moving forward. Will emails with updates be shared constantly? Again, that's not something that we've shared in terms of numbers that we've shared on a regular basis. I know the mayor's been sharing pretty regular updates in terms of our numbers in town. In some of my letters, I have provided some updates in regard to numbers. If you have questions in regard to numbers, you can contact my office. But again, it's not something that we're planning to do going forward.
No emails on your end?
No, there are no emails.
Seeing as we have no more questions, I just want to take a moment and thank everybody for coming out tonight. I look forward to being your president. Hope everybody had a happy and healthy holiday and new year. Welcome to Jay, our new board member. If you have any, I'll be reaching out to you, but if you have any questions, we will certainly help you along. Oh, there is one more question in the,
Okay.
it just says I have a question so far. So, we're moving.
Quarantine elaborate. The question is quarantine elaboration.
Please remember to include your name, address, and email address when addressing questions, please.
Yeah, it just says quarantine elaboration. The only thing I could say in regards to quarantine is we follow Department of Health guidelines. We've always followed the Department of Health guidelines. If you have specific questions about a particular incident, I would recommend that you reach out to the school nurse at your child's school. They'll be happy to explain the purpose of the quarantine, what it was based on, and the timelines. I can also share that we'll be providing some other additional information this week in regard to updated guidelines from the Department of Health that were sent out on December 15th. That letter will be going out either tomorrow or Thursday. Again, if you have questions, specific questions about the quarantine process, I would contact the school nurse. They'd be the best person to communicate regarding quarantine guidelines. There's another question about testing out option. So yes, there is something that came out in regard to a testing out option for school districts. I could tell you that the challenge that school districts are going to face in regard to testing out is there are many requirements, and I'd be happy to share that document with you. There are many requirements when it comes to that test out option or test to stay, it's actually called, test to stay option. And as I'm sure many people know, just getting a test right now is extremely challenging, no less getting the results. So again, if you have specific questions, you can contact my office about that, and I'll be happy to go through that document with you. There's an entire document about test to stay. But again, if it's specific about your child in regards to a particular quarantine time, the best person to contact would be to contact the nurse at your child's school. They'll be happy to explain, again, the purpose of the quarantine, the length of the quarantine, and give you all that information that you need.
Our next public meeting will be Tuesday, January 18th at 7 p.m. The location is to be determined at this point, but we will let everybody know. So at this point, seeing there are no more questions in the Q&A, I will take a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Turco, second by Mr. Palouse. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Dr. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Mr. Shortway,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
and Ms. Scoff.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Hope
you.
you have a great night.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Right.